What is diversity? At Detroit's Cass Technical High School, minority students account for 99% of enrollment. Of Cass Tech's approximate 2,500 students, Black students account for 83% of the student body, Hispanic students for 6%, Asian students account for 10%, and white students for 1%. From the outside looking in, Cass Tech is by all accounts diverse, meaning more minorities. But how does the function of diversity change in a monolithic space?
For younger Black students, it's important that they find out how important that Blackness is to their identity.
There are a lot of stereotypes that I realized were not true that I held about my own people, and it took me experiencing what it was like to be around people who look like me to actually be able to disprove those.
People at Cass, we all kind of come from struggling backgrounds.
So when I got into high school, being in that monolith actually helped form my identity before I was thrown into the realm of diversity that is the bigger world.
When the roles of minority and majority are reversed, how does one reconcile this difference in the real world?
I do feel like diversity should be a focus at a school like Cass. How are you supposed to handle yourself in the world with different people, different positions in life, if you can't first, establish that grounding at school?
SES-wise, we weren't coming in contact with people who were higher SES. We were coming in contact with middle, upper middle, down all the way down to working class.
What are you going to do when you're in a space with people who aren't like you?
Of course, you get hit by the culture shock of all these white people around. You still get kind of blown away from their mass numbers and everything they do.
I grew up in the suburbs, so I already knew how to talk to white people. I already knew how to code switch. And then it just all came into play when it came to college.
And how are you going to respond to when they say things that A, you don't like, or B, just like you're not really familiar with?
As an acting major, there's only 4 of us that are Black in my class, in my acting class.
I feel like it prepared me for Bridge. I don't know if it prepared me enough for fall classes and the rest of the 4 years.
So I had 2 white female roommates, freshman and sophomore year. That didn't bother me per se. A lot of my Black friends were looking at me like I was crazy.
The college isn't going to be exactly like this. I am not going to be the absolute minority, but it's like there are going to be a lot more white people. There's going to be a lot more Asian people. There's going to be a lot more Arabic people.
We have our own student orgs that we make so we can be seen and recognized. And even then, sometimes we're not.
Coming from Cass, that was this huge place, right, where you felt kind of like a number. Mm-hmm. Coming to U of M, it was, I guess there was a similarity in that aspect.
It was really, really kind of almost like going to college. When I got to college, it wasn't as nerve-wracking when I got to college because of Cass Tech High School, actually. When I got on the big campus, I wasn't shaken by it. But it was a bigger school than Cass, of course, the population, but I was already used to that type of atmosphere.
Still, it bothered me after 4 years of finally being myself and all the different facets that I had become. And
it really helped me at first, but I think it began to hinder me when I had already established my identity and I was setting who I was. But I began to make judgments upon other people based on who they were because of the monolith that existed.
Like I said, I didn't have vocabulary for community service and social justice until college, and I feel like that was a miss. Just because I'm Black doesn't mean I already know all of this terminology. I don't know that I have privilege as a middle class American. There are all these different spectrums that I don't think we touched on in high school.
Even in a Black majority school, the curriculum is still white-centered, Euro-centered. It didn't talk enough about the diverse intricacies of the civil rights movement. We didn't talk about slavery a whole lot.
Things that I wish we learned, being able to have cultural classes where I can learn more of my Indian friends, cultural ways of presenting themselves. Or through something like a cultural program. That's something that I wish Cass Tech had more of.
To improve that, there's a few things you can do, which is like a pep rally type event where you use culture as a celebration tool where each group has space to do whatever they want to do, whether it be a performance or teach something, teach a history lesson, whatever. A lot of my mentors were the younger female teachers in school, so hire young Black men who have the capacity to really give students the space to explore and learn things. I think this probably could go in the curriculum where you're teaching more diverse things and that go outside of the textbook.
I mean, diversity is fantastic, right? So yes, but it's not something that you can necessarily manufacture in any kind of way. I absolutely benefited like 7th through 12th grade from being a minority in my school setting.
Cass is Cass, and it's not really the outside world, it's not really realistic.
Being in the majority, right, having had that experience, it's not so much this idea of diversity, right, but just of identity.
Diversity is important, but for younger Black students, I think it's important that they find out how important that Blackness is to their identity before they're put in diverse spaces. I think it was really important that I had that experience where I was in a really majority Black space.
Cass's history as a Black school is a powerful and important statement for Black education in Detroit. However, how it goes about helping its students be more exposed to different environments is a constant mission, because the idea of diversity changes according to the space.
So it has an incredible history, right? An alumni association that's 100 years old.
I wish I had been in Cass in the 60s and 70s because as far as, me playing the violin and everything, there was a lot of money to be made back then going and all that and everything, and just things that were going on like the civil rights movement. Students at Cass had a really big voice as far as, marching through Detroit and doing things like that.
I think over the years that it really is all about those students that choose to go there because they have this idea of what is driving Cass. When I got there, the energy and the smarts and the energy of the students that are there kind of make it what it is. I think it should just be able to exist the way it exists now, because there are some fantastically positive things that are happening there, and it's really all about the students that choose to go there. That's what I think.